Welcome to the Darkstream, Vox Day, voxday.blogspot.com. Hang on a second here. I'm just looking to break out the pop-up chat. There we go. One of these days when we get our own streaming stuff going, I'm looking forward to having this set up in a way that is a little bit more to my custom preference. So looking forward to that day, I can tell you that. So the ride never ends. We say this frequently. What does it mean? It is a recognition of the fact that these battles are not going to end. You know, I was talking to somebody about these endless legal battles and so forth, and one of the bears was just like, oh, it'll be so nice when this whole thing is over. And I said, what do you mean? They said, well, I mean, just when this long dispute finally comes to an end. I said, why? He said, well, I mean, then it'll be over. I said, no, it won't. I said, that particular battle will be over, and then it's on to the next. Everybody it knows that things are not going to improve in this society in the short term. Corporations are not getting less converged. Tech companies are not getting more law-abiding. People are not getting more reasonable. And so, there's just no, this isn't this isn't something to get demoralized about. This is something to get energized about. I mean, yes, you're going to have your feelings ebb and flow. You're going to feel good when things go well. You're going to feel bad when they don't. With every successful skirmish, morale goes up. With every unsuccessful skirmish, morale takes a bit of a hit. But that's okay. I mean, it was very difficult for a lot of people after the November election. I think I was probably less affected than most, just because not living in the United States, I didn't have to deal with it all the time. But I noticed that some of my friends and colleagues and acquaintances, they just had no energy or stamina or real motivation for the battle. But the thing is that it's just like lifting weights. All the conflict does is make us stronger, as long as we don't permit ourselves to get too worked up, too stressed out. And this is why I'm always counseling people to not get too excited when things go well, and not get too depressed, not get too down when they don't. It's always interesting to see how people in the West just desperately seek that one decisive battle that will end it all. But that's fundamentally a mistake. What happened when Americans thought they won World War II? Oh, it's over. Nazi Germany's been defeated. Imperial Japan has been defeated. And then they promptly went and lost their country to 80 million invaders. Part of why they lost it is because they thought the war was over. They thought the battle was over. But the devil is never done until he's bound and in the pit. Evil is always out there. The converged are always looking to infiltrate and infest and converge. And so I think it's much healthier to simply adopt the assumption that conflict is the normal. I've said it many times. Conflict is the air we breathe. It's the water in which we swim. And the more you accept that, the more you internalize it, the more that it becomes a part of you, the more you grasp that the ride never ends, the easier it is and the less stressful it is on you. I mean, look at me. I'm 52 years old. Do I look particularly stressed? Do I look particularly worn down? I don't think so, because I think that the conflict is healthy. I have a purpose every single day. And I'm not a vampire, despite my predilection for late night hours. Although I have to admit, Space Bunny did at one point convince me to stop taking post-midnight strolls, because apparently that was viewed as somewhat creepy. I just like to be out in the night, Anyhow, the point is that if you adapt to regular stress and you accept it and you incorporate it and you utilize it to find purpose, your life actually becomes less stressful than the norm. Because frankly, people have a tendency to create stress if they don't have it. I mean, think about the most useless and pointless people living life of ease. If you look around and if you look around and you view the lives of the wealthy wives of successful businessmen, it's kind of comical, because they talk constantly about how busy they are. I'm so busy. Oh, I'm so busy all the time. I've got so much to do. Oh my God, And it's kind of funny, because you feel like sometimes like being rude and saying, what exactly is it that you think you need to do? There's literally nothing on this long schedule of events that you claim is so vital and imperative that actually needs to be done. You could literally blow off the entire list, go to the beach, lie in the sun and drink margaritas, and no one would notice, object, or care. but they like to feel important. They like to feel needed. So what they do is they generate drama, they generate stress, etc., etc. Think about how much unnecessary internet drama there is. You know, just yesterday, somebody posted on the blog, well, what about people that are that disagree with you or defend boomers or what, and they were bringing up the great Bruce Charlton, who apparently has a different opinion from me on something, which is absolutely fine and not even remotely surprising. And I just said, oh my gosh, what did Jenny say about Susie? And I told him to just, shut up. Not interested. Lightning Hand says, this is why Keeping Up with the Kardashians is so popular too. They're all creating drama from the wealth generated from business folk. Well, and it's all fake, of course. But, there's no, you're going to have an amount of stress anyhow. If you don't have any stress, you're going to create some. So why not just accept the fact that getting in the game and joining the ride that never ends is going to give you meaning, it's going to give you purpose, it's going to make you stronger, and it's going to make you a part of a community. These are all good things. Doesn't mean that it's always going to be fun. Doesn't mean that there's not going to be moments of worrying about this, that, or the other thing. Doesn't mean there's not going to be moments of great triumph. And so, it's true that controversy sells. But who cares about the controversy? We don't engage in fake controversy because we engage in actual conflict. And we engage in it very, very well and very, very effectively. Coffee Grounds Bear asks, Vox, would you say the rhetorical term the tauntlet is potentially useful to describe the gamma spirals? No. I think that's a little too cute, and it doesn't inspire emotion of any kind. Yeah, and as Christians, we are part of the, it's not actually eternal, or that we know of, but it certainly extends both before and beyond our lifetimes. So from our perspective, it seems eternal. And I was watching this television show. It's actually pretty good. It's called Devils, and Patrick Dempsey is in it, and a pretty good Scandinavian actor. And it's all about the global financial crisis and the manipulation and so forth. And one of the things that they go on about is, there's these sort of muted philosophical meanderings that begin and end each show. And it talks about how, God cannot defeat the devil. The devil is already around, has always been around, etc., etc. Well, obviously that's not quite true. But the point is that the battle isn't going to stop. The battle is always going to be there. And sometimes it's going to be more virtual, more metaphorical. Sometimes it's going to be actually physical. Kind of depends on the time frame. Certainly, we appear to be rapidly moving towards those sort of physical battles. But regardless, we don't have any choice but to engage in them. What are you going to do? Where are you going to run? What are you going to wait for? We've seen what happens to people who try to run away from the conflict. Look at Stefan Molyneux. Stefan Molyneux was in a very strong position with regards to some of the companies that deplatformed him. He had massive numbers of supporters, but he was too much of a coward. He just couldn't do it. And so he's gradually faded from the scene, unfortunately, because I think he's a good man, and I think he's a smart man, and he's somebody who would have been a useful and powerful ally. But neither he nor his supporters had the necessary steel. So it's good that they didn't try. It's good that people who don't have the stamina to say, you know what, I don't care if this battle takes 6 months or 6 years. This is the battle I've chosen. And even if it's not that important in the grand scheme of things, even if it's not all that important in other people's eyes, the point is that you chose it, and you're going to learn from it, and you're going to get experience. When you look at the way it's funny, God talks, gotta go, please. No, absolutely not. Because all of it eventually comes down to God talk. If you don't get the God talk straight, you will submit. You will bow. You will give in. You will despair and lose hope. We've seen it time and time and time and time and time again. Everybody surrenders. Everybody gives in, except the Christians. And so, you don't hear a lot of talk about various pagan martyrs. You don't hear a lot of talk about Hindu martyrs and stuff. Why? Because they don't ultimately have anything beyond what is there at the moment. I'm not saying this as criticism. I'm just pointing this out as an observation. Exterminator Bear says, well, Saint Iphon doesn't believe in aggression. Well, that's true, but even his non-aggression principle permits self-defense. The problem is Saint Iphon, which is how I refer to Stefan, he's not even willing to defend himself, or more importantly, his people. And that's the problem. You can criticize Owen, and you can criticize the Bears for plenty of things. But what you cannot ever question is their courage and their stamina. I have a lot of respect for the Bears because they exhibit virtues that most people don't. Most people, even some of the Dread Elk sometimes, don't necessarily have the same stamina. They don't necessarily have the same enthusiasm. So, if you look at what has changed over the past couple of years and what's going to change in the next 6 months, I think it's going to really, really surprise even people who've been along for the whole ride. I mean, when I step back and I look at how completely overwhelmed I am with lots of good problems to have. They're real problems. I mean, any of you who are trying to figure out where your Castalia library books are, or why your credit card can't renew, or this or that or the other thing. I mean, there's a myriad of petty problems of success, but these are great problems to have. We are very, very fortunate to have these problems, and we're gradually we're gradually addressing them. We're gradually wading through them. Frankly, I'm not sure that we're wading through it faster than it's coming in at the moment, mostly because of the ice storms and stuff in Texas. But but we're getting there while making massive strides forward on the strategic front. Project Asteroid is going to blow your mind. It's that good. The stuff that we're going to introduce, there's going to be a crowd, just so you know, just in case you want to prepare to back it. We're going to do our first crowdfunding in over a year in April. And I think it might be our biggest one yet. We'll see. But the way that the teams are just so motivated and doing such good work, such hard work. I mean, the stuff that I don't even have time to look at some of this stuff. That's cool. Be Good says Dante showed up the other day. Vox 4GW came the next day. It was a good week. And another thing too, if you are if you're subscribed to Unauthorized, have you noticed that we've been putting up like over 10 hours of content a day? Razorfist's Metal Mythos is going up there. Castalia audiobooks are going up there. I mean, there's more content going up there on a daily basis than pretty much anybody can even watch. Speaking of content, Pinkerton's Ghost, where's the new episodes? Oh, you just sent it in. Okay. I was wondering because we have the first 10 episodes of Pinkerton's Ghosts up, and I was just noticing it's like we haven't put any new ones up for a while because the Junior Classics podcasts, there's so many of them up there, like preloaded. I mean, they've literally got the next, I think, something like month and a half, already up on the server, just waiting to get. Graphic novels when? Right now, we are just finishing both omnibuses, both print omnibuses of Chuck Dixon's Avalon. So that's 12 issues right there. I'm a bit behind on Alt Hero, but let me show you something. You might find this interesting. So one of the Cliff Cosmic, who we've had to switch both the artists on Alt Hero just because of the projects that people are working on. And so what do you think about this guy? We're testing out a new illustrator who's doing some work with us on another project, but I think that he's done it I set him to a couple tests. And so I said, okay, look, I want to see you draw Rebel, and I want to see you draw Dynamique. And some of you may have seen one of these on, you might have seen this one already on Gab, the Archaven account. Let me see where I put that. Okay. So this is his rendition of Dynamique. And then he also did a rendition of Rebel. And let's see if I can find her. There she is. And this is one of Rebel. So, I think that he's got it. I think that he's, we're going to turn over. We're going to probably have him. We're checking it out right now, but we are having him. We're testing him on number 9 of alt here number 9, and so that's freed up Cliff to focus on Shade, and we've got 2 new episodes of Alt Hero already done, which are going to get introduced in April. And so we're just, like I said, constantly moving forward, constantly pushing forward, and nothing comics related, with the exception of a couple print omnibuses, is going to come out until April. You will understand why when it happens. But rest assured that everybody, me, the legend Chuck Dixon, the illustrators, Blonde, etc., etc. Let me give you another, like, for example, I just got like 3 of these today. In fact, here, I haven't even saved this one. I haven't even looked at these. Remember I was telling you that I haven't had the opportunity even. I've been so busy that I haven't even looked at some stuff. I'll give you an example. I don't even know what this is, so I'm just gonna save it, and then I'll pop it up. So okay, so I'm saving the image here. I'll pop it here, and let's see, I put it in this directory. Okay, so for example, this just came in today. This is from Throne of Bones number 6, and it's really good stuff. Some of the stuff that is already finished, I'll give you a quick look at something that's already finished. Here we go. So this is the most recent one. This just came in today. Oops, wrong. So literally every day we've got stuff just flooding in. The legend Chuck Dixon he's on a roll. He's just been going nuts. And I mean, we're going to be introducing all kinds of stuff you haven't even heard of yet. And so yeah, I don't think Romans actually had wine glasses like that, but let's just say that the illustrators are not necessarily always up on correct Roman history. So anyhow, the point is that all of this stuff is moving forward rapidly, and um, yes, there will be more Midnight's War in April. So, um, so anyhow, the point is that the ride isn't going to end. So you might as well adjust your thinking, plan for it, learn to thrive on it. Because that's what a lot of us are already doing. Um, I don't see any reason to give lemons to me. I don't think that this is. I don't. I mean, I don't. I don't think this is monetized at all. Um, and so there will be Midnight's War, new anthology. That's funny. Um, yeah, the game doesn't end till the credits roll. Exactly. And so, um, you know, and just so you know, I am no longer writing Midnight's War alone. We decided uh, Chuck liked it so much that we kicked around some ideas and decided that we wanted to do something kind of similar to what we do in Alt Hero, which is really expand the scope of the stories. They're still related, but um, Chuck and I have found that we do best when I sort of do the larger, more strategic stuff, and he does more of the hard hitting street level stuff, and it's so good. I mean, it's really so good. I mean, if you liked the first episodes that you saw on Webtoons, what you're going to see coming, I think, is really going to thrill you because uh, he definitely turned it up to 12. So, I mean, I honestly, I think that there's a decent chance that Midnight's War could eventually have uh, a reputation to stand with, the very best stuff that comics has ever had in terms of stories. Whether you're talking about Sandman, whether you're talking about Watchmen, whatever. Um, I'm not saying that's necessarily the case. I'm saying it has that kind of potential. And yes, there's definitely a 12 out of 10 when you're talking about Midnight's War. Um, how do you write a story with someone else without making it obvious who wrote what? Well, there's two ways. Number one, if you imitate each other's styles, sometimes people find it hard to tell. It was kind of funny in my first novel, which was co-written with Bruce Bethke. There's a particular joke in the book that everybody thought was Bruce because I'm not a funny writer. And Bruce is a very funny writer. But I actually wrote the entire scene and the joke because I was kind of writing in my Bruce Bethke mode. Um, I am actually a pretty good mimic stylistically. Uh, if you read um, if you read one of my short stories, uh, you can very clearly see which famous 19th century short story writer's style I was using. If you're at all familiar with that writer, people always recognize it right away. And so, um, so anyhow, um, does collaborating ever get into a groove like with music? Yes, it does. Um, in the case of Chuck, I mean, I mostly just stay out of his way. He's so fast and he's so good that I just try to do my thing without stepping on his toes. I mean, I'll polish the dialogue a little bit. Um, Sometimes I'll say, hey, maybe we want to tweak this or tweak that, but we don't. The Legend Chuck Day. That's funny, but uh, we really don't have any writerly egos, which is kind of funny given that I'm generally known to be quite arrogant, and Chuck obviously is the legend. But one of the things that we both have in common is that we just really, really want the stories to work and be interesting and flow. And we want the characters to be memorable, but also that you can, latch onto in some way, whether it's as positive or negative. And so, um, CGM's theory is that I'm actually an AI that has learned to imitate people who gathers off the web to generate more difficult escort missions. Yeah, I'm probably not going to live that one down anytime soon, am I? Anyhow, uh, just remember, conflict is good for you. Conflict makes you stronger. And real conflict, where you can actually learn and actually win, is better than fake conflict, fake drama, stuff that is just there to keep you occupied. So, the ride never ends, and conflict is the water in which we swim. So, get in the game. I'm Vox Day. This is the Darkstream.